Chapter 3 The World's Greatest Dinosaur War Ever. I couldn't believe it. The door opened in the middle of math class and Principal pushed the older raggedy kid in. Miss Cordell said, "Boys and girls, we have a new student in our class starting today. His name is Rufus Fry. Now I know all of you will help make Rufus feel welcome, won't you?" Someone sniggled. "Good. Rufus, say hello to your new classmates, please." He didn't smile or wave or anything. He just looked down and said real quiet, "Hi." A couple of girls thought he was cute because they said, "Hi, Rufus. Why don't you sit next to Kenny and he can help you catch up with what we're doing?" Mrs. Cordell said. I couldn't believe it. I had wanted my personal savior to be as far away from me as he could get. I knew when you had two people who were going to get teased a lot, and they were close together because together people didn't choose one of them to tease. They picked on both of them. And instead of picking on them the normal amount, they picked on them twice as much. Mrs. Cordell pushed the new kid over to the empty seat next to me. "Kenny, show Rufus where we are in the book." I watched the new kid sideways. He said, "Kenny? I thought they said your name was Poindexter." The class cracked up, part from his country style of talking and part from laughing at me. I could tell that even Mrs. Cordell was fighting not to break out laughing. Though he was looking friendly when he said this, I kind of knew it had to be teasing, because whoever heard of anybody's mama giving them a name like Poindexter? When he sat down next to me, I tried to imitate Byron's death stare, but it didn't work because the kid smiled at me real big and said, "My name's Rufus. What are we doing?" "Times tables." "That's easy. You need some help?" "No," I said, and scooted around in my chair so all he could do was look at my back. This guy was real desperate for a friend because even though I wouldn't say much back to him, he kept jabbering away at me all through class. When lunchtime came, he followed me outside right to the part of the playground where I sit and eat. He forgot about bringing a lunch, so I gave him one of Mama's throat-choking peanut butter sandwiches and let him eat the last half of my apple. He really was a strange kid. He only ate half the sandwich and folded the rest up in wax paper. And when I handed him the apple, he even ate the spots where you could see my teeth had been. He didn't even wipe the slob off first. And man, this kid could really talk. He was yakking a mile a minute, saying stuff like, "Your mama sure can make a good peanut butter sandwich, and how come these kids are so darn mean?" Then he said something that made me get all funny and nervous inside. He said, "How come your eyes ain't looking in the same way?" I looked to see if maybe this was the start of some teasing, but he looked like he really wanted to know. He wasn't staring at me either. He was kind of looking down and kicking at the dirt with his raggedy shoes. "It's a lazy eye." He stopped kicking the dirt and said, "Don't it hurt?" "No," he said. "Oh, then," kicked a little more dirt and hollered out, "Oh boy, look how fat that there is." "What?" "You don't see that squirrel?" he asked me, and pointed up at a tree across the street. "That sure is one fat, dumb squirrel." I looked at the squirrel and it didn't look fat or dumb to me. It was a regular old squirrel sitting on a branch, chewing on something. How come you think it's dumb? "What kind of squirrel sits out in the open like that with folks all around him? That squirrel wouldn't last 2 seconds in Arkansas. I'd have picked him off easy as nothing." The new kid pointed at the squirrel like his finger was a gun and said, "Bang! Squirrel stew tonight." "You mean you shot a gun before?" "Ain't you?" "You mean you really ate a squirrel before?" "You ain't?" "A real gun?" "Just a 22. "How's a squirrel taste?" "It tastes real good." "You mean you really shoot 'em with real bullets, and then you really eat 'em?" "Why else shoot 'em?" "Real squirrels? Like that one?" Not that fat and not that stupid. I guess all that fat, stupid one's been got already. Since I've been born, all that's left in Arkansas is skinny, sneaky ones. I think them Michigan squirrels is worth 2 Arkansas ones. You aren't lying. He raised his hand and said, I swear for God, ask Cody. Who? The little shrunk up version of the new kid was standing by himself up against the fence that runs around Clark, watching us. The new kid waved at him, and this little brother came running over. The big one pointed over at the squirrel. Cody! Looky there! Cody laughed and said, Oh boy, that sure is a fat squirrel. Think you could pick him off from here? Cody pointed his finger like it was a gun and said, Bang! Squirrel stew tonight! I couldn't believe this little kid had shot a gun too. You shot a real gun? Just the 22. With real bullets? The little one looked at his big brother to see why I was asking all this stuff. It seemed like they were trying to be patient with me, like I was a real dummy or something. The older one said, Tell him. Yeah, it was real bullets. What else are you going to shoot out a gun? I still didn't believe them, but the bell rang and lunch was over. I know he didn't think I noticed, but the big kid gave his little brother the other half of my sandwich. I guess both of them had forgot about lunch. This savor stuff wasn't going anything like I thought it was supposed to. Rufus started acting like I was his friend. In the morning on the bus, he'd always come sit next to me, and Mrs. Cordell put his regular seat next to mine in school. Every day at lunchtime, he followed me out to the playground and ate half of my second sandwich, then sneaked the other half to Cody. He even found out where we lived and started coming over every night around 5:30. I didn't mind him coming over to play because both our favorite game was playing with the little plastic dinosaurs that I had, and you couldn't really have any fun playing by yourself. That was because someone had to do the American dinosaurs and someone had to be the Nazi ones. Rufus didn't mind being the Nazi dinosaurs most of the time, and it was okay playing with him because he didn't cheat and didn't try to steal my plastic monsters. The other guy I used to play with was L.J. Jones, but I quit playing with him when a lot of my dinosaurs started disappearing. I've got about 1,000,000 of them, but before L.J. started coming over, I had 2,000,000. It's kind of embarrassing how L.J. got them from me. At first, he'd steal them one or two at a time, and I'd ask Byron what I should do to him to stop him. By said, Don't sweat it, punk. The way I figured, one or two of them stupid little monsters ain't a real high price for you to pay to get someone to play with you. But LJ wasn't satisfied with doing one or two. I guess he wanted a raise, so one day he said to me, we should stop having these little fights all the time. We need to have one great big battle. Yeah, we could call it the world's greatest dinosaur war ever, I said. But I get to be the Americans. I should have known something was fishy when LJ said, Okay, but I get first shot. Most of the time, it always took a big fight to decide who had to be the Nazis. I started setting up my dinosaurs, and LJ said, This ain't right. If this is really the world's greatest dinosaur war ever, we need more monsters. You should go get the rest of them. He was right. If this was going to be a famous battle, we needed more fighters. Okay, I'll be right back, I said. This wasn't going to be easy. I wasn't allowed to take all of my dinosaurs out at once because Mama was afraid I'd lose most of them. Especially she didn't trust LJ. Every time he'd come over, she'd tell me, You watch out for that boy. He's a little too sneaky for my tastes. I had a plan, though. I'd go upstairs, drop the pillowcase. I kept my dinosaurs in and out of the window. I wasn't so stupid that I'd drop them down to LJ. I'd drop them out of the other side of the house and then run around to go get them. My plan worked perfect. After I went and picked up the pillowcase, I set up my dinosaurs, and LJ set up the Nazis, and we started the battle. He took first shot and killed about 30 of mine with an atomic bomb. My dinosaurs shot back and got 20 of his with a hand grenade. The battle was going great. Dinosaurs were falling left, right, and center. We had a great big pile of dead dinosaurs off to the side and had to keep shaking more and more reinforcements out of the pillowcase. Then In the middle of one big fight, LJ said, "Wait a minute, Kenny. There's something we forgot about." I was ready for a trick. I knew LJ was going to try to get me to go away for a minute so he could steal a bunch of my monsters. I said, "What?" "These dinosaurs been dropping atomic bombs on each other. Think about how dangerous that is." "How's it dangerous?" LJ said. "Look!" He made one of his brontosauruses run by the pile of dead dinosaurs, and when it got 2 steps past them and it started shaking and twitching and fell over on its side, dead as a donut, LJ flipped him on the dead dinosaur pile. I said, "What happened to him?" "It was the radioactiveness. We gotta bury the dead ones before they infect the rest of the live ones." Maybe it was because we had such a great war going on and I was kind of nervous about who'd win, but this stupid stuff made sense. So instead of digging each one of the couple hundred dead dinosaurs a grave, we dug one giant hole and buried all the radioactive ones in it. Then we put a big rock on top of it so no radioactivity could leak out. This really was the world's greatest dinosaur war ever. We fought and killed dinosaurs for such a long time that we had to make 2 more graves with 2 more big rocks on top of them. LJ finally pulled the trick I knew he was going to, but he did it so cool that I didn't even see it coming.